Anyway, we've been connecting in with the birthing of our soul. Yeah. And it's like opening through the crown and receiving that soul light more deeply into the body. And then that really kind of planting and fertilizing, become very fertile through primordial mother. And that soul light rising up and emanating through the heart and the eyes and the skin and the way of being. And so this deeper descent of the soul light in, and then that rising through. And this is really what I mean by birthing who you truly are and why you are here. Because the truth of who you are is the soul essence. It's what you came in with. It's your unique spark. It's your unique gift. And we're all part of a whole. Yeah. We're all part of creation, and we each have a unique gift to shine, to bring to this world. And the birthing is through Great Mother. Yeah. So through her womb and through our embodiment, the more we rest into her and we receive the soul light deeper in and we connect with our soul light. And that pathway is only possible when we really done a lot of clearing of our conditioning, right? That, emptying out of the conditioning. Then that connection is way stronger. And then we become more and more aligned with the truth of who we are. And that birthing, she's all of creation. Yeah, so she's that all and that rising through the body. And then when the heart is open more through the divine love, the offering comes as an overflowing of devotional love. And this is not necessarily, what you're doing in the world. It just becomes like a way of being. Yeah. And it ripples into your relationships and creations. And especially with this theme, it's about the way in which we create and allowing creation, the creational force, the force of love, and the force of life, and the force of our light to move us, and not the conditioned ways of creation. And when that pathway is open, it's like the unstoppable grace. I call it. It's like the force of nature, the unstoppable grace. It feels so true and so right and so natural. And the old ways feel painful in the body. The old ways of creating feel painful. They feel constricting. They feel, drying and burnout and, no flow. And the old ways of creation, the more and more we connect with this pathway and this force of nature and this force of grace and this force of love, she doesn't allow the old ways anymore. It's like it just becomes too painful. Yeah. We get stopped. The pushing, the striving, the all that you know the old ways, right? We've really been connecting in with those old ways and this theme is really about opening to that creational force and that pathway through the connection of the soul essence impregnating into the womb and being offered out as as devotional love. But it's also about the dying of the old ways because it's like there are these cycles of creation where there's a dying and a birthing. And the dying, like the cycle of nature, like the winter time, everything dies, it drops away. Yeah? And in that dying phase, that's often where it's the hardest because it's where we really need to let go. And and it really touches on a lot of different layers that want to grip on. Yeah. And the dying phase is so necessary to really empty out what's not serving any longer. And then it creates compost, it creates ground, it creates fertility. And then there's like a fertile ground and there's like a well of wisdom and there's this warmth and this nectar that starts to pulse and in connection with the soul lights. And then there's this natural rising of inspiration that comes from the deep, connected through the love and the light. And then that starts to come through the body and the words and the eyes and the way, the new that is creating through. And that takes a lot of surrender and listening and devotion to really allowing the all to drop away. Yes, and what I do know more and more is her timing is not linear. And, the more we devote to her, she just shows us. And sometimes we'll have a plan around something happening and a time frame, and it just doesn't happen that way. Right? And that, that devotion to really, really listening. Because for me, if I go off, then my body shows me immediately. And it's like, okay, God. And then as soon as I listen, yeah, then the dying happens. And then I get filled, right, with this nectar and this nourishment and this inspiration and this light that and love and that just wants to come through, yeah, in that attuned way that then can be of even more service and fulfillment. Because that's also what the creation is about through the feminine. It's deep fulfillment here through the woman, right? Deep fulfillment and serving, yeah, and um, our world has really cut off. Like there's so much conditioning that, and through our ancestry, right? Through many different, we've been exploring these different ways and where our conditioning comes from, yeah, in terms of creation. And our last theme, we really entered into that prayer and just handing over at the altar. Remember that? It's a beautiful practice because it helps I'm just handing it over. And when we really hand over, then we get shown. It takes some time, but then we get shown the message. So that's, part of the journey. And then there's the actual death of the death of the old ways, right? These patterns that have been cycling through around creation for eons. And then the true birth. I don't even want to call them patterns. It's like echoes of, ah, yeah, just echoes of the old. And patterns feels too small. And a word around what we're actually here to bring through when we're devoted to the divine feminine and really birthing the new. Yes, into the world and into our lives and into our relationships and our creations. Yes.